Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Today I'm going to be talking and covering some river of racism kind of stuff because ran into another woman on Facebook and I showed some of her screenshots in a previous episode, but sometimes it's amazing and crazy, especially with Republicans, especially with like the bigoted, racist Republican Americans with how they always want to say, why do you always bring up race? And you guys are more racist than us, and you guys just want to pull us down when we don't want to pull you down. And it kind of reminds me of what's going on with South Africa and Africa as a whole, because after the apartheid, they're still straightening things out, but a lot of white Africans are now feeling like they're being pulled down when in reality it's called equality. They're evening out the playing field and trying to make sure that Africans, black Africans, are finally being able to have a fair shot after years of oppression, after years of inequality, and like the inhumanity and just the unfair treatment and just the barbaric, just, oh, it's disgusting. But in America, going through the same thing. And our current president, he he doesn't mind it. He loves it, actually. Bringing back segregation, banning books by blacks or African Americans and people of color, and dropping DEI so that companies, if they don't want to hire black people, they don't have to. And whenever something happens, if it's by a black person or a woman of color or person of color, oh, DEI. But yeah, if it's by a white person, especially all of that, that cell phone situation, texting people that shouldn't have been invited, but yet, oh no, they don't, yeah, of course not. But it's really aggravating or annoying, because even some people saying they are annoyed by the, it's some term with black in it, but I guess the I'll think of it later. But it's like I saw kind of some videos trending on how white people are exhausted from African Americans, and like either the personalities or the culture and things like that. And part of me is just like, okay, you guys have no problem stealing from our culture and using our services, or as long as we're working below you in service like jobs, you can't wait to basically use us and everything. But anyway, and throughout my episodes and everything, I show racism in so many of them. I get some of the most racist messages, and then I follow different pages where people share racism that they face on, well, either a regular basis, semi regular. It depends on if they are like a social media, like paid person and everything. But yeah, I show so many things, even with our Star Spangled Banner, because like throughout this episode, you're gonna see so many links of how African Americans have or are still facing inequality, unfair treatment, but with a lot of and I'm not gonna say there are no racist Democrats, but far fewer than, and that's another thing, because a lot of Republicans, especially white Republicans, are so poorly educated. They keep saying how Democrats are the ones that wanted slavery. Democrats are the ones that, like, so many of the historical history, when they keep forgetting or nobody cared to teach them that the parties switched. And so if they switched, the Republicans became Democrats and the Democrats became Republican. So now it would have been those who were Republican back then would have been Democrats. And so some people are just stuck on the title, but not looking within the history and not looking at the culture of the before and after and how things change. Because throughout history, things have changed. But some people want to keep that racism. Some people want to keep the bigotry. Some people want to make sure others are below them. And also with colonization, the stereotypes and things that they have stamped on different cultures and nationalities. Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. But I was in one of the Facebook things, I forgot which article it was, but so many people just talking really disgusting things about the African American community and just saying how they make sure that they never drive through one and just some really disgusting things. And there was another woman who was commenting on something, and it's like I commented back and I told her, it's like, okay, yeah, you're a racist, no good bigot. And it's like, yeah, the messages are on here. And we went back and forth because she had the nerve to try to say black people are the racists and we want to tear white people down and things. And then I started pulling up laws. I'm like, no. It's like, look at this law. This is for equality. Look at this law. This is for equality. A lot of you guys are upset that now it's like once we have equality, you guys feel like you're being torn down, but no, you're being on a level platform. But you refuse to have that well, no, he's like, you guys want to be evil, but you don't want a leveled platform because since you're white, you feel obligated. A lot of you. If that comment hurt, that means I'm talking about you. If it didn't hurt, you know I'm not talking about you. See, it's kind of like the who voted for Kamala, like when people are wearing those blue bracelets and stuff. It's like you don't need to do that. It's like just represent yourself as someone who is united with us. That's all you got to do. Actions, not bracelets. Okay, but then this Desiree girl had the nerve, like she was like calling like me crybaby and things like that because I was like proving my case, showing laws, showing history. And a lot of white people don't like when you show history. And so she basically had the comment of, girl, stop. You all keep yourselves down by yourself. You don't need no help. You are by far more racist than anyone else's out there. Always bringing up race when no one else does. Go cry in the corner. Bye. Yeah. See, but you can tell like she's one of those ignorant, no good, poorly educated, just downright stupid idiots who this is how she thinks, this is how she goes around because she doesn't know her history. She is so naive, stupid, ignorant, poorly educated, probably voted for the MAGA right and everything like that because it's like she has the nerve to say that we're racist when it's like people I know even with my ex's mom, her and her oldest daughter on Facebook calling me racist because I was with Black Lives Matter. I agree with Black Lives Matter. And when I try to tell her why I think that the police should be defunded, but with like she said it didn't make any sense. And I'm like, so you don't think, because I listed bullet points of how I think the police should be defunded. Because I think with mental health, we should have a mental health unit. We need more people who have studied sociology, psychology, and all the ologies and everything to be able to help support the police. Because a lot of people who have mental illness or either like maybe even an episode, they are being eliminated from this earth because police don't know how to interact, talk to them, calm them down. And I believe sometimes, like, if you had a specialist there who can guide and tell them how to calm them down, we won't have as many situations. And then with other crimes, there's so like raising the minimum wage. There are so many Republicans who tell me I'm so stupid and dumb because I want to raise the minimum wage. And then I want Medicaid for all. It's like they just signed that stupid, ugly bill into law. And so now many people who need benefits are going to lose them. And Republicans are jumping up and down for it. They're so ignorant, naive, stupid, and just, ooh, it, they don't understand. And also years ago when they like Bernie Sanders was promoting Medicaid for all, they were like, no socialism, no this, no that. If we had Medicaid, then people wouldn't be losing their health insurance. And then people who are losing their jobs and being laid off, they're losing their health insurance with that. And even Medicaid for all has a racist history. It's like some of the leaders refused to give Medicaid for all because they said that over time, all of the people of color or all the blacks will pass away, and then they'll do it. And then they'll do it. And so when I see messages from that no good bigot, in my opinion, of course, all of this is in my opinion. Oh, but it's like that message does give you proof and evidence. Because Desiree, yeah, in my opinion, but reading her message is like, and that's just a small morsel of what she thinks. But okay, I'm just going to be kind of going over some topics that African Americans still face every single day. And go back and watch some of my other episodes. I talk about river of racism. I talk about because even in novels and books, Caucasian people say they can't read or watch a movie where the main character is not white because they are not able to connect to it. But then they expect people of color to always connect to when the main character is white. Make that make sense. Make that like mm. And even beauty standards. It's like I didn't even mention, like, yeah, with my research, I should have put the Crown Act and how a lot of the Republicans voted and how certain ones started mocking and laughing about it, but then turned around like, oh, it wasn't racist when it was racist. It was racism, right? Yeah, plain as day, because our hair naturally is coarse and curly and different texture. And African American women, we have the, like, compared to other nationalities, the weakest, most fragile hair. But they want us to press it and put different chemicals and things like that. But then some people put us down for wearing either wigs or braids or things that will help keep our hair healthy. Yeah, they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to, but then even with Serena and Venus Williams, when they were playing tennis, they were being put down because of their braids. And then there's so many different actors and actresses because even when Zendaya was at that award ceremony and she had the beautiful dreads in her hair, it's just like some fashion person said an idiotic, naive, bigoted comment with that. They apologized, but yeah, I was just like, okay. Don't let the bigotry drip. Okay, okay. But here are some other issues that we go through because there have been scientific studies by, well, with scientific studies, they show that more black women pass away from miscarriages or have higher risk of miscarriages, have higher risk of women dying from giving birth and things like that. And but then with some of those studies, they link those with abortion. So then sometimes when people say, oh, all, like, you're just cheering on black women aborting babies, and I'm like, no. If you knew, like, black women are 3 times more likely to have a miscarriage and or pass away from giving birth. But if you don't know that, and if you didn't know that, we need more tests with it. We need more specialists and scientists to find out, figure out why this is. But yeah, do you think our country really cares? Do you think our country really cares? But then they always want to put women down, or they want to put Democrats down when they vote pro like choice. And yet, it's one reason is because I want black women to stay alive. If their life is in danger in any magnitude, I choose the woman. And some people are going to hate me, not like me for that. Oh, well, like, I think the woman's life is part of all lives. They say all lives matter. I believe the mom lives matter. And it's like a lot of people don't give enough credit to women. They're risking their lives. And I think I've done episodes covering this, but women's bodies go through so much. And also, they have like a percentage of passing away from health issues. But we need to do more research and find out and dig more into those issues. And then I have a link also about stereotypes of African Americans and one reason why like a lot of white men especially, they can't wait to call a black woman a man or trans, especially like Mrs. Obama. Yeah. Just had someone, they were joking around, but then they had the nerve to yesterday call Mrs. Obama a man, and then yeah, they noticed I wasn't laughing. It was over the phone, and they're like, "Oh, that's funny." And so then I had to break them down to the slavery and the history of calling black women a man. And they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And then I had to give them more history, especially with Mrs. Obama and the hatred that they put on place on her and everything like that. So yeah, that's not funny. And it's like I've been called a man by especially some of the men on the dating apps because I'm not going to follow their orders. I'm not going to be a gentle, quiet lady. No, I'm not going to do all that. I'm not. I'm not. Why should I? No. I'm going to be who I am. And a lot of men tell me, you're supposed to be more submissive. You're supposed to be more feminine. You're not supposed to own a business. You're not supposed to be educated. You're not supposed to be like that, or you're not supposed to have leadership type of qualities. That's a man. Well, you're not a leader, so I guess we have no hope then. But anyway, so throughout this whole episode, I share and show different articles and different. I think I should. I have one video, but oh, if you, there are over 200 drowned cities because after slavery, when the freed African Americans started their towns and they were growing and prospering, because I always hear people say, I don't want to go to these black cities. They don't know how to like have abundance, have this, have that. They do. They did. And throughout history, when the white people saw that the black towns were flourishing and doing amazingly, they went in and burned them down and flooded them and turned them into lakes. This article right here has talks about five of them, but there's over like I remember studying the topic for years, and I remember like seeing articles about 20 to 30, and then it went to 50, and now I found one that was 200. So when white people keep trying to dog African Americans down and say that they don't know how to manage themselves, they don't know how to run a city or manage a city and things like that, look at the mental and the trauma that you guys place on our ancestors and the patterns that like yes, like I'm gonna say you guys, your ancestors are part of the problem. You guys did not, you guys refused to have African Americans succeed. Every time they did succeed, every time they did have a town that was starting to flourish, you went down to their towns, burned them down, and eliminated and killed many of them, and then drowned the cities to make sure that they were not going to be able to go back and start again. But then you guys keep saying that black people need to get over slavery when there's so much more to the history. I mean, even earlier in the episode, I had a one link where some idiot scientists say that black people don't feel as much pain. I don't know where they get that from. And it's really crazy how black people within the medical field, like when I was still trying to get diagnosed, they would tell me, black people in the medical field would tell me whenever I was with with a white doctor, if they asked me how much pain I was in, to raise the number up because they don't think our pain is measured at the same rate as white people. So they said with white people, always give a higher number because it's like if you give your honest number, they don't think it's if they don't think it's much, they won't count it as much. So always go above. But Desiree wants to say that black people are the racist ones. You have no idea what we go through. You don't know what we fight through and the struggles and all of the stereotypes and things that we go through on a daily basis. Little girl, bye. And here's some more history about even the breaking news on the racism within interstate highways. If you don't know, you need to learn about it. And I have two articles on that. So check them out, learn a little bit, because I feel like our education, especially when it comes to African American history, is ignored. Some people learn a little bit about the slavery, but they only learn enough so that they won't get emotional. They learn enough so they don't have to feel bad. They learn enough so they don't have to feel like the trauma doesn't lead on to even today. And that also that the racism from back through slavery hasn't followed through to today as well. Because just remember the story about how my ex's ex-wife, when the orange guy was voted in the first time, she celebrated and told her daughters that now she was going to buy me and whip me until I die. But yeah, black people are the this Desiree's a no good bigot. It's like, and I'm gonna keep saying that because that's my opinion. That's how I see her. That's how I view her. It's like with how because like I said, that one message right there, she showed herself. She showed her hatred for us. And I didn't even cover like the inhumane system of the prison system and the police in this episode. So you're probably gonna see her in her messages again. And I also show some other racists in this episode. But yeah, with river racism, I want to make sure people see the generation Z and A and how the racism is still like ingrained in their brains in some ways and how disgusting, pathetic, and just awful it is. But if you don't know, you need to know. And when I do episodes like this, I try my best to have articles in many of them. Sometimes I don't. It's like I have studied this, and especially like I have studied, one of my minors is in cultural anthropology. And so when it comes to even the Italian American experience and the Irish American experience in different cultures like that, I try to learn as much as I possibly can. And even international, I like watching international news because I don't think everything is just about America. And a lot of people who say they're patriots and they always want to be American first, and I'm like, okay, I I kind of get it, but at the same time, in order for us to succeed, and also in the Bible, like, let's, help our neighbors out too. Let's make sure they're good. Because if when we're in a bad situation, we're going to hope that they return the favor. And if we're good to our neighbors, say hi to our neighbors, and appreciate our neighbors, then the same thing will be in return. I don't know what's going on right now because who I can only imagine what our history books are going to be saying about today, about this presidency, which, like I said, now there are cities who are trying to bring back segregation. And then our current president is bringing back segregation federally, banning books that especially represent African Americans. And it's just despicable, awful, terrible, and revolting. And so, yeah, I also have information about the education system and how we need to get it together. And it's even to a point where when I was teaching in like K through 12, I had students who refused to learn because they said, learning makes you white. And then even dating, black men did not want to date me because I was going to get my master's. And they told me, what kind of man would want a smart woman? But then when I date white men, they judge me. Or they say, no, you're a black woman. You are obligated to only date and marry black men. But then they put me down for getting an education. They put me down for writing my books. They put me down for trying to start my own businesses. They put me down for my creativity and or my interest in documentaries and anime and things. They put me down, but they expect me to jump up and love them or want a relationship. Like what? Make that make sense. And lastly, well, no, it's not even a lastly, but lastly in this episode, because I'm running out of time, the housing market. Do you know how many lawsuits there are from African American families who have issues because it's like people who give the estimates of or the appraisals of the houses and then find out that they lowered it because a black family lived in that house? And the unfairness, and even real estate agents who do not want black families to live in certain cities. And I know about this because this happened to my parents. They had to go and change their real estate agent because she refused to show them houses past a mile line or past 8 mile basically. And so they were like, oh, okay, bye bye, racist. And they switched real estate agents. And the next real estate agent they had was absolutely wonderful and amazing. And I think for a few years, my mom would still call her and make her dishes and things like that. So, yeah, they had a pretty good bond and everything. But you guys don't understand the racism that bleeds through our country. And oh, even I've mentioned this before, but the cancer belt and how so many of the most toxic factories in our country are always placed in cities with predominantly African Americans. But then when African Americans are trying to move, they can't move because no one wants to buy the houses because they're in such a toxic area where you have about 40 to 50% higher chance of getting cancer in these areas because of the toxins in the air and in the water. And then don't forget the Flint water crisis as well. So yeah, I'm running out of time, but I'm thinking like there's so many things to the point where this ignorant, no good, Desiree hating bigot. Oh, Desiree, you're such a bigot. Mm. But anyway, and again, in my opinion, because she might say she's not, but she needs to find herself. She needs to like no. She needs to know. She needs to know. But anyways, this is the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human and you're human too.